This is the best question there is, really the only question there is. And so for each of us, there is a unique way that we express our service when we are in alignment with divine matrix. Because we are 99.9999% the same human beings, in that 0.00001% in us that is different lies our unique blueprint for the ideal service, which will take us into an alignment that is a freedom to, how do we say this? It's to be in union, in harmony with our intention, our blueprint, and our expression of that blueprint. And when all of that is in alignment at the same time, that is called peace. And this is true both in the microcosm and in the macrocosm. When each of us as a human being is in alignment with divine matrix and understands that what that means is raising the frequency in which we operate inside of ourselves into the field of love, peace, joy, and gratitude, and that which is just beyond, as we begin to master living from that place in ourselves, we establish this alignment and our blueprint becomes obvious, because as we are in alignment, it naturally comes into our awareness and we make the changes in our lives according to this inspiration that arises from the alignment with divine matrix. As we deeply get to know this unconditional love that exists within us. Unconditional means both personal and impersonal, but make no mistake, this is ecstatic experience. This union has within it divine experience. So what we're saying is that unconditional love is powerful beyond imagination. So as this blueprint gets expressed, you will naturally come into alignment with the way you can serve your own personal highest best interests at the same time as you are serving the highest best interests of the human collective and all the beings on it. And so we begin to understand our interdependence with every living thing, not only in the seen world, but in the unseen world. And as we expand our frequency and the plane of our experience expands, then we're working in both the microcosm and the macrocosm at the same time. So what allows this expansion to take place is the internal peace, which comes from our being in alignment. There is a sort of inner contentment that arises. Now, very often when we think of contentment, we think of relaxation that has an ease to it that in the matrix of belief, we're taught that if we're not doing continuously, if we're not productive continuously, if we're not engaged in the outside world continuously, then the only frame of reference we're given for that is the word lazy or vacation or retirement, all of which are considered less than in a certain way. But understand that in divine matrix, it is this alignment that is important. And peace does not mean that you're internally rotated all the time. You become capable of paying attention to your inner, breathing in harmony with your entire being, and also being active in the external world from that internal sense of peace. Now, this is as opposed to matrix of belief, which would have us believe that we need to be inspired by external goals, and the only way to accomplish these goals is to close ourselves up, gather our energy, and drive it forward. This is the American way. Shut down the inside. Any emotion is an annoyance. Pull yourself in, gather your energy, and go. And all the attention goes between your ears as you try to negotiate to earn your way through a world that is based on rewards and punishment. So this is the matrix of belief that we're handed. Instead, what we're telling you is this alignment that is available as you become acquainted with the inner lover, this unconditional love. As you begin to become acquainted with this and live in union with that experience, then you become aligned with divine matrix, your own blueprint of what you agreed to accomplish in terms of personal growth in this life. And that personal growth manifests as service in the way that is in alignment with your blueprint, which will naturally create the flow, which attracts the abundance that you need, which you will naturally attract because you're in a state of peace. So we're going to talk for a minute about that abundance, which is when you are in a state of peace, whether you are rich or poor, that peace has within it a certain kind of satisfaction. When you are truly at peace, there is no wanting. There is only having. And so from that perspective of having, when you are in alignment, you naturally attract whatever you need because there is no grasping. There is only a field of emptiness which naturally is filled by divine matrix with whatever is needed beyond your wildest dreams. And so, having had this experience once or twice, you build a confidence in it and you begin to let go of micromanaging the material flow in your life. And in this letting go, the grasping falls away and you're living from your sense of internal peace, knowing that whatever you need, because you are in alignment, will appear. Now, that doesn't mean that you're suddenly going to get a raise. It may mean that for some people, but the way the universe responds with its abundance is not necessarily in the rewards and punishment arena. It may be that. For many successful people, it is that. But it also can happen in other ways. You know, it can be insurance, something or other that manifests. It can be somebody else's wealth that gets shared with you. It can be, you know, a relative who dies and leaves you an inheritance. It can happen in all kinds of unexpected ways. And the way it works is it comes from alignment with divine matrix. And you know you're in alignment because you begin to have these experiences and you begin to understand that everything is very similar to the breath. Flow, our first experience of flow is the inhale and the exhale. And then our experience of divine matrix is the space in between the breaths. As we cultivate that space, as knowing that inner love, as we cultivate that space and come into alignment with it, the inhale is the inflow. The exhale is the outflow. We are so conditioned to hoard in our culture the inflow. And it's like forgetting to breathe. So part of our service is in freely participating in our inhale and exhale on the material level. We hope this answers your question. How may we serve further?